So open up your books to page 4, and that will be the first page of chapter 1. And when you guys get there, can someone raise your hand and tell me what's the title of that chapter? Okay, Braden.
Tools for algebra and geometry.
Okay, tools for algebra and geometry. So this year, we're definitely going through algebra because what's this book called?
Pre-algebra.
Pre-algebra. So you guys get that. But with that, you also get geometry. Okay? So we're going to do a little bit of both, sometimes mixed together. But this chapter is kind of giving you like the basics for all of it. So we're going to be talking today about adding and subtracting decimals. How many of you have ever done that before? Okay. Okay, good. Everyone raise their hand. Mostly. Okay. Some of you are super comfortable with it. That's great. Some of you may be like, oh, I forget. What do you have to do? What do you line up? What do you do if there are no numbers in that column? So we're going to clarify that as best we can, and then I'm going to have you guys work it out. Okay? So you'll get some practice, and I'll try to clarify any questions that you have. By the way, during class, feel free to ask questions. Like, don't feel bad. I don't know if he's going to think this is dumb. I'm not. The only 2 dumb questions there are out there. Okay? There are 2 dumb questions. What is the answer? Like, you don't want to do it, so what's the answer, Mr. A? Can you do it for me? I'm going to say no and no, and those are dumb questions, okay? So does that make sense? Any other question like, Mr. A, what did you just do, or how do you go through that process? I'm totally okay with. You guys okay with that? Okay, so feel free to ask questions. Okay, so page 4, chapter 1, Tools for Algebra and Geometry. Again, this is laying the foundation for this book and what you're doing this year and years to come. All right, page 5. Do you guys see where it says on the top, focus on prerequisite skills? Okay, what I like about this book is before every chapter and like the actual lessons in that chapter, they give you this little section that kind of shows us, are you ready for this chapter or not? So kind of look through those problems, like 1 through 12. Do you guys see those? Okay, this is them. You don't have to do them. Just kind of look at them. Do they look intimidating? Okay, so yeah, you may say, no, I've seen these before, I've done them before. Maybe you're like, oh yeah, these. Okay, regardless, we're going to get better at them. Okay, so what you're going to do is go ahead and open up your math notebook. So that spiral-bound notebook. And what we're going to do is we're going to take notes in class. And I'm also going to grade you on the notes that you take in class. So, can I borrow this, Emma Grace? All right, so this is your math notebook. So you just open it to the first page. And go ahead and on the heading, put Chapter 1, Tools for Algebra and Geometry. So go ahead and write that so you know what chapter we're talking about. But with the grading, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to grade if you wrote every single little thing I wrote down. But did you take notes? And for the most part, did you write down what I wrote on the board? Okay? So, for example, I'm writing up here, Chapter 1, and this one's Tools for Algebra and Geometry. By the way, my board is a bit skewed, as some of you are noticing that little T. I don't make the top of my T's all curvy and stuff. The board in the middle twists my writing. We'll get used to it. But it's right here where it gets a little distorted. Bless you. Okay, so this is the first chapter. This is the title. And what I want you to write next, prerequisite skills. Spelling is going to count if the word is in your book or I've written it on the board. So like prerequisite, if you didn't know how to spell that, now you do because it's on my board and it's in your book. So please don't bash that word and write some random thing because you're going too fast. Make sure it's spelled correctly. All right. So this is what we're talking about, prerequisite skills. The first thing we're talking about today is, and I'll put it as A, we're talking about adding or add or subtract decimals. Okay, that's the first topic we're talking about today, add or subtract decimals. So I'm on page 5, and I'm on that first bullet point that says add or subtract decimals. Okay, we have a couple examples. When you're done writing that, do you guys see where it says find the sum of 32.45 and 5.8? I'm on page 5. But do you guys see where that problem is? Okay, can somebody give me a summary of what you do if you add or subtract decimals? Like, what does someone have to do? You must do this in order to get it right. Okay, John.
Line up the decimals.
Okay, line up the decimals. That's another way of saying lining up the place values. Do you guys remember ones, tens, hundreds, thousands? Okay, you have to line those up. The tenths, the hundredths, the thousandths, those decimal place values, line them up. Okay, so just for those who may not know that, that's a little asterisk. Line up decimal points. Which I wrote in parentheses, place value. Okay. Do you guys ever wonder in math why we do certain things? Do you ever wonder that? Like, why do we multiply that way? Or why do we line up the decimal points? Whether you've been exposed to those answers or not, I'm going to try to clarify those things for you. So there's a reason why I line up the decimal points. It's not just because, you know what? Mathematicians hundreds of years ago decided it would be wise to line up decimal points. And then they decided, and then that's what we've been doing for centuries. No, we do it because we're lining up place value, and that's important when adding or subtracting. Okay. If I go too fast, you can raise your hand. I'll scroll back up while others are catching up. But this is example 1. So this is a problem we're going to work together. And it's a 32.45 added with the 5.8. All right. Did I line up my decimal points? Or did I line up, another way of saying it, my place values? Yeah. But there's some odd little thing here. 5.8 and 32.45. There's something that's bugging me. Maybe bugs you. There's an empty spot here that I really want to fill. Bella? Okay, we call that annexing a 0. When I added that 0, did I change the value of 5.8? No. Okay, so can anyone read 5.8 as in the technical sense? So 5 and what? What? Do you guys remember those place values? Tristan?
5 and 80, 100.
Okay, so 5.80 would be 5 and 80 hundredths. You guys okay with that? So this would be read 5 and 80 hundredths. How would you read 5.8? Yes, Max?
5 and 8 tenths.
Okay, 5 and 8 tenths. Okay, pop quiz here. Is 5 and 8 tenths and 5 and 80 hundredths the same thing? Yes or no? Rosa?
Yes.
Really? Oh, yeah, it is. Because one just had a 0 added to the end. You did not change the actual value of that number, but you did put a place value holder. All right, go ahead and add these up. I'm insulting your intelligence by making you add them up. If you need help, I can do it up here, but you should be able to do it. Adding up the hundredths, we get 5. The tenths, we get 12. So I put a 2 down, carry a 1. And then I get my 8. I get my 3. Where does the decimal place go? Yes, ma'am. 8 and 2. Really? Well, if we're lining up decimal places, it goes right down. That's an easy answer. And what I prefer is that you circle or box in your answer, especially when we're grading. When someone's grading, isn't it nice to know where their answer is? Because some people, and you know better than I do, their writing is all over the place, and then their answer's somewhere there. I think maybe, I don't know. So circle it, make it clear. All right, that's example number 1. Example 2, which is the one to the right, that one is subtracting. So what does it say to subtract in that problem? So the one to the right of the one we just did says find the difference of what and what. Raise your hand. Okay, yes.
6 and 4.87.
Okay, so this is example 2. Find the difference of 6 and 4.87.
Yes, sir.
4. Whoa. Okay, hold on, guys. I'm having some trouble here. That's a big eraser. That 6 doesn't have a decimal. So then wait. Huh? Is it like hidden there? Okay, where is this decimal? Yes, Mackenzie?
It would be right after the 6.
Right there? Kind of. Sorry, the skewed board. Okay, after. If you have a whole number, the decimal place goes at the end of it. Okay, and then 4.87. All right, now we've lined them up and we're subtracting. What can we do to make this problem a little bit easier to look at and therefore work on? Josie? Yeah, we're going to annex those 2 zeros, and then now you can borrow, and then you can subtract. So go ahead and do that. If you need help, I'm on the board here. I can't do 0 minus 7. I can't borrow from 0, but I can borrow from 6, so I cross it out, make it a 5. That makes that next 0, 10. I borrow from that guy, make it a 9. Again, sorry it's so skewed. I apologize. 10 minus 7 is 3. 9 minus 8 is 1. 5 minus 4 is 1. Decimal place goes right where it belongs. 1.13. How many of you got that 1.13? You guys good on those? How many of you feel like, yeah, I got this. It's pretty good. Hey, it's good way to start algebra, pre-algebra, right? Not too bad? Okay, you guys did so well. You can start working on numbers 1 through 6. Now, this 1 through 6 and then some other problems I'll give to you are going to be turned in. So do you think you need to put them on that notebook? No, not necessarily. You need to get a separate piece of paper. It's like homework, pretending like this is homework. So on that separate sheet of paper, you're going to start this homework out. Now, let's talk about the homework, please. I'll give that to you. There's a specific way Mr. A wants this homework done. Okay, so Mr. A actually did your homework. Like, I like doing your problems, so I did them. Do you notice that Mr. A's paper is folded? It's folded lengthwise in half. So go ahead and do that with your paper first. Mr. A, you're super picky on things. Yep. All right. So folded paper, and I'll give you the reasons why I do this. It's not just, I decided to do it. How many of you heard this is folding it hot dog style? Right? Okay, you've heard it. Why didn't you pick hamburger style? Well, I'll try to explain that. Okay, so you got your paper folded in half, and so I'm going to draw this. You don't have to put this on your notebook. All right, so the paper here, you have your 3 holes on the left, okay? Don't give me a paper that starts with the holes on the right. You guys are old enough now, I think, to remember it's on the left. Okay, you fold it in half, so it should look something like this, and then you have that margin up top, and you have that margin down here. Okay. On the top right of your paper, you're going to put 3 pieces of info. And this is for all homework assignments. You're going to put your, what do you think? Name. First and last. For now, do first and last for me. As I get more used to you could do first and last initial. And then eventually just first name, except for a couple of you, which might throw me off. All right, name. You're going to put your class. You guys are 7A. So you're going to put 7A. Okay, that's your class for me, 7A. And then the date, which I'll try my best to update up here every day, 8/23/17. Mr. A, I have a better way of doing it. That's possible, but we're just going to do it this way. And we're all doing it the same way. By the way, if you turn into me assignments without your name, I take points away from that assignment because it's really hard to figure out whose it is. I don't want you to get credit for what you did. Okay, so how it's going to work is look at number 1. Number 1 is 5.5 plus 9.92. Okay, so what I do is I start here on this left column under the margin, and I put my number 1. And the numbering doesn't have to be specific, but like this is how I work it out. 5.50 plus 9.92. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, I work it out. Whatever I get. Okay. When I get my answer, I circle or box the answer and make sure my answer is clear. Okay? By the way, your work should be neat as well to help you out. Then, when I work on number 2, I'm going to skip a line and then do number 2. Blah, 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 box in when it's done. Okay, when you're done with this column, what do you think I'm going to have you do? When you're done with the first column, you're going to go into the second column. So you're going to do number 3 over here. Blah, 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 blah. Man, that's a long problem. Blah, 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 blah. Answer. Whew. Hope number 3 is not that bad. All right. Number 4, number 5, as many as you can fit. You know, I can only fit a few here. What happens when you're done with the second column, though? What do you do? Yeah, you go to the back, that left column there. I ended up, so I started off with number 8 because I had notes as well, so all the way down. When you're done with the third, go to the fourth. When you're done with the fourth, what do you do then? Yeah, get another sheet. If you get more than one sheet for a homework assignment, I have a stapler back there, or you can staple it on your own. Just make sure that it's holes on the left, first page on top, second page on the bottom. Okay? All right, go ahead and start working on 1 through 6. And in just a few minutes, we're going to go to the second part. I'm going to come around and get the book info from some of you, so I apologize for interrupting you. And I'm ending the recording now.